Yo, what's good YouTube? I'm Rory and this is Roar in the Jungle. So today is a pretty special episode for the channel. It's our first ever collaboration with another YouTube channel. So the boys over at JW Football Talk want to talk the AFC North Division. Since their teams, the Texans and the Cowboys, are playing the AFC North this year, they kind of wanted this scoop on the teams and, how I feel about them. Which I'm really happy about because, it's my first ever collaboration and I absolutely love the talk with them. They made it extremely easy for me and it really allowed me to be myself considering that I'm an extrovert. So talking to a piece of equipment is not really that easy for me, but talking to people is extremely easy. So I really hope you enjoy the talk, and without further ado, let's get to the video.
Yeah. I'm gonna buy that one and that one. All of it. I need it all. Do you want it though? Where do I begin? I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call in my account.
Hello, welcome back to another edition of JW Football Talk. I'm your host, Cody Johnson, along with my co-host, Cody Wolf.
How you doing?
And then we got Bengals YouTuber here with us, Rory with Roar in the Jungle, man. How are you doing? And then after that, tell us a little bit about your channel for everybody watching.
Yeah, no problem. My name is Rory Panglinan. I just started Roar in the Jungle on YouTube, where I just basically talk about Bengals topics, and probably in the future I'll end up going to more AFC North and maybe like football, other football-related topics.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah. And thank you for coming on with us, dude. We've been having a lot of fun with all these division previews, so we're glad we were able to get you on.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I'm really glad I can come on. Anything to help you guys grow, and also I want to grow too, so let's do this.
Yeah, let's all eat, man. So back on our division previews, we took a small break from them. We're back. We're going to do the AFC North today, and like we've been doing in the past, we're going to talk about who's finishing fourth, who we have finishing third, so on and so forth, and why we have them there. And Rory, you're the guest, so man, who do you have finishing fourth in the AFC North this year?
Oh man, I hate to say it, but I think this is not the Bengals' year. The AFC North is stacked, man. The teams are pretty crazy. The Steelers are just always well coached. I don't know if I believe in Ben Roethlisberger at this point, just because he wasn't that good even before last season. Like, he was throwing a lot of interceptions, and with that elbow injury, I just don't see him like coming back and being the old Ben Roethlisberger. The Ravens are absolutely stacked. They had a crazy offseason, and honestly, their draft was probably the second best draft for me personally. I think the Cowboys killed it, and I sneakily loved the Jets, but we'll talk about that. I think they took a lot of risk, but they may return pretty well too also. And the Browns, well, the Browns are the Browns, so who knows?
Right. So you have the Bengals finishing fourth. All right, Cody, who do you have finishing fourth?
Man, I've sort of got the same thing set up, but it's really I'm still expecting a huge improvement from that Bengals team. I don't think that that's a team that's gonna finish with a record anywhere close to what they had last year. Like, I could conceivably see Cincinnati finishing with 5 or 6 wins. Although still being last in the division. Ultimately, as far as offensive talent goes, at skill positions, I think they're beyond loaded. I've got no qualms with them there. Wide receiver, running back. Obviously we had Rodney on. They have Joe Mixon. And of course Burrow. Who you and I have talked ad nauseum about how much we love that guy, and how that is probably, in our opinion, the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck.
Right.
So it's no knock on Cincinnati. I really love what they're doing, and I love Burrow. I love the potential, but, like Rory said, I still think, that's a team that's a year away, and mainly because of the offensive line, the concerns that I have there. But past that, this is a team that I feel if Burrow is even 3/4 of what people are hoping he's going to be, this is a team on the upswing.
Man, I feel the same way. I feel like if you really look at the roster, it's very underrated. They
dude.
have receivers all over the place. They have, like you said, Joe Mixon and Rodney Anderson in the backfield, who both have tremendous potential. They drafted the tackle out of Alabama. I'm blanking on the thing. Jonah Williams last year. Then you got guys. You still got Geno Atkins on the defensive end. You grab DJ Reader, who I'm gonna love watching this year for y'all. I think he's gonna take a big step this year.
Oh, that was my favorite free agent pick. I was like, no way, the Bengals don't do that, man. Like
I was
I
mad
dude,
when we
no,
lost him, but y'all got a player. Y'all got a player for
oh,
sure.
I know, man. He's a monster. I was literally like, on the first day of free agency, I was like, oh, the Bengals are just gonna not do anything. Cool. I'm just gonna go back to my cave. Uh, no, but as soon as I saw DJ Reader come across my app on ESPN, like I was like, no way, bro. Like it just it shows that the Bengals are trying to change. Sorry about that. They're trying to change, but it's gonna come. But that DJ Reader pick, my God, dude, that was killer.
Him and Geno Atkins are the perfect duo on the inside. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, so getting back to a little bit what I was saying, we love Joe Burrow, like Cody was saying. It's just, he's a rookie quarterback still. Rookie quarterbacks have come in and they lit up the league. Deshaun before he got hurt. Baker had 27 touchdowns his rookie year. It's just that team before they can get to contending for the AFC North again, it's gonna take some molding, some cohesion, stuff like that. So definitely like the potential of this team. It's just gonna take a little bit to grow. That's why I have them finishing 4th in the AFC North. So let's move on to the 3rd spot. Who do you have finishing 3rd, Rory?
Honestly, probably the Steelers. I had the Steelers finishing 3rd. Like I said, I don't know if I believe in Ben. Duck Hodges ain't doing anything. And honestly, with the amount of pieces they lost in the O-line, I just don't know about their running game anymore. I like James Conner, but I don't love him. I don't think that he has nearly the talent that Rodney or Joe do. Like, not even close. But like I said, like I think the Steelers are probably gonna finish 3rd this year. I see them going probably 7-9, 8-8. I don't see them going very far. Maybe they make a playoff just because Thompson's a good coach, but that's who I have going 3rd.
Okay. What about you, Cody?
Man, and all right, I'm gonna go with Cleveland, and this is tough because, man, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those guys who I bought into the hype last year. I'm not gonna sit here and say I thought Freddie Kitchens was gonna lead that team to a Super Bowl, but I like the fact that they went with the continuity. And what we saw him OCing Baker his rookie year. I thought this was the guy who was sort of the stepping stone until you find the guy. Let that team grow a little bit, sort of like if you guys watch The Last Dance, sort of the way that Doug Collins was for the Bulls. He was still a good enough coach. He got Jordan going, but it wasn't until Phil Jackson got there, that they started actually doing something. So that's why I anticipated for them last year. I love their talent level. Their talent level is ridiculous.
That's insane. It's honestly insane.
Oh yeah, it's staggering. And I'm sorry, I don't buy into the whole OBJ is done or he needs to be traded. I think that whole, especially offensively, outside of Nick Chubb, which, running the ball is running the ball. I feel like you don't need to be super creative in order to be successful at that. However, passing the ball in today's NFL, you've got to be a little bit smarter, and Baker was still in his 2nd year and he didn't get the development that I thought he needed. So until I see it from them, I've got them at 3rd, but I see them real close with Pittsburgh. So I agree with Rory quite a bit. I love Pittsburgh's defense, but Ben was always a guy who turned the ball over at a pretty high clip, and now we're getting into the very twilight of his career. This is a dude who's talked about retiring multiple times the past couple seasons, so you wonder how much there's left in the tank, blah, blah, blah. But right now, until I see it from him, it's Cleveland for me at 3.
And for me, I'm in the same boat. I remember telling you, maybe just hold off on that Cleveland hype last year. I still loved all the pieces they got. It's just I had to see it first, and it's the same thing here. They have all the talent in the world. They got better this year. You went and got Austin Hooper. You went and got the right tackle from the Titans. God, I'm sucking with names today. Conklin. Yeah,
Conklin. Yeah.
And then you went and go and draft Grant Delpit. You had Greedy Williams last year. You bring in OBJ last year. You have all the talent in the world. The coaching just has to put it together. And that's been the problem for them for a while. I mean, some years they've had less talent than others, but coaching and management has always been the problem for them. So I do like the Browns, and between the Browns and the Steelers, it's a coin flip. It's just same thing you were kind of saying. I got to see them put it together before I have them overtaking the Steelers this year. So let's go into number 2 for you, Rory. I'm guessing it's Cleveland.
Yep, it's definitely the Browns at this point. I think that's like Cody was saying. The Browns are definitely stacked, man. Like if Bill Belichick's their coach, they're winning the next 5 Super Bowls, man. Because they are insanely talented. It's crazy. The defensive line alone is enough to just win 3 games. The Myles Garrett's an absolute monster, man, and I believe they still have Sheldon Richardson. He's also a monster. And their secondary, Ward, Greedy, and Delpit now.
Yeah,
dude, what in the world? They are just building talent, man. One thing that does scare me, Stefanski, rookie head coach. He seems like he's a lot more organized than my God, what was
Kitchens.
the last coach? Kitchens. He seems a lot more organized than Kitchens. And just seems like a more disciplinarian, keeps team on track. And I believe that kind of head coach would help out Baker a lot more than Kitchens, who was kind of his best friend. I believe when you have a personality like Baker, you kind of need that guiding line.
Mm-hmm.
But I have Cleveland going second just on talent alone, honestly, man. They're crazy. Odell Beckham and Juice Landry, and
Nick
Njoku, and from the Falcons, the tight end Hooper. Yeah, dude, stacked. And not only that, like you said, Nick Chubb is an absolute monster. And with the adding of Jedrick Wills, who is probably Tristan Wirfs was my favorite tackle coming out of the draft, and then Jedrick Wills was a strong second. He is a beast, man. He moves extremely well, and I think the running game for Cleveland next year is they're just gonna run the ball. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna run the ball, and then they're gonna straight play action it to OBJ 70 yards downfield. That's pretty much the key. For quarterback wise, Baker Mayfield, I think he's extremely talented, but he is also an interception machine, man. He just tosses it up a lot of times. In the last game of the year against the Bengals, on that last play, he just put it up there, man. And B.W. Webb, who had a broken hand, didn't even have a hand really, just snatched it out of the air. So I mean, he's a guy who takes a lot of risks, and you can see that with his personality. But yeah, even with all that, I have the Browns finishing second.
Interesting. So how about you, Cody? You have the Steelers, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers, and primarily that's going to be, there's twofold reason behind that. Their defense, last year was phenomenal. The fact that unit almost carried that team of Duck Hodges and, God, whoever else it was.
And Rudolph?
Yeah. Hodges, Rudolph, to the playoffs, that was incredibly impressive. That midseason Minka Fitzpatrick trade changed the trajectory of that unit and that team. They got some momentum going after that. So now I think if Ben Roethlisberger, even if we get a 75% Ben Roethlisberger that we've seen before, here's the other thing, Deontay Johnson. Okay, that guy, considering who he had to work with in terms of who was throwing him the ball, he had a phenomenal rookie year. And, you can cherry pick stats and advanced metrics. They can always, oftentimes be very misleading. But in terms of separation and stuff like that, depth of target, Deontay Johnson was head and shoulders above a lot of rookie guys last year. And if there's one thing I'll say about Pittsburgh, it's that for some reason, they know how to scout and draft wide receivers. What? I don't know what it is, but it seems like every year they're pulling somebody out of thin air. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go, plug and play. Oh, wait, this guy's a baller. So I think that combined, if some combination of James Conner, and I forget their backup running back's name. I can't believe I had him on fantasy last year as well.
I thought you were talking about his name.
Yeah, exactly. Some kind of that, just to have a presence in the running game. I could see Pittsburgh. It's the AFC North. It's going to be physical. It's going to be tough. And that, especially defensively, that's a team how I see they're built. I could see Pittsburgh going 9-7, 10-6, but of course, ultimately inferior to who we all are going to have as the number one in that division.
Yeah.
Cody, just one thing to piggyback off that wide receiver comment, dude. Chase Claypool is a beast. Like he's gonna be a monster, man. Like I said, like AFC North it's tough football, but Chase Claypool is built for that, man. Like he is crazy. He's like 6'4", like 230, and runs a 4.3 or something like that. Like that's insane.
So you think he's going to play wide receiver for them? Because I know before the
Bro,
draft, we were talking about.
I don't know what he's gonna play. All I know is he's gonna be a weapon. Like they're gonna figure out a way to get him on the field.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I do wonder if they're the one of the teams that valued him as a tight end over a wide receiver. Either way, like Rory just said, he's going to be a weapon. He's going to be another receiving target for whoever's starting at quarterback this year. I expect it to be Big Ben, barring injury, of course. But one thing I want to say about Cleveland before I move on to my number 2 that I forgot to mention earlier, the report that they offered Jadeveon Clowney the most money he's been offered so far, and he declined it because it's Cleveland, is absolutely dumb to me. He should have taken the money and he should have went to Cleveland. Him and Myles Garrett across from each other is absolutely ridiculous. And again, like we said, that team has all the talent in the world. All the talent in the world that just the coaching has to put it together. Clowney, I didn't see numbers, so I don't know exactly what he got offered, if it was in what he was wanting or whatever. But if he declined the offer because it's Cleveland, I find that dude really stupid to be, in my opinion. I think he should have made that move when he had the opportunity. Anything y'all want to say on that?
Yeah.
I
don't mean to cut in real quick, but I mean, since the start of free agency, man, Clowney, he's the last big fish on the market. I honestly think this is a case of piss poor representation. I feel like he had it in his head that he was worth some number, and I'm sure that was ballooned by whoever his agency is, or whoever is representing him. And man, it seems like he's just went down the line of all these teams that need a pass rusher, which who doesn't need a pass rusher in the NFL? Most teams do. You can always use a pass rusher. But the number, and we've heard, over the past couple months, the number just keeps getting lower and lower and lower. It started at 20, and then it went to 15. Now it's at 13, 12.5, 11.5. I think the longer this guy goes on, the more that number is going to drop unless somebody, does get hurt, season-ending injury in preseason, something like that, and a team gets desperate. Past that, I think this dude has priced himself out, and he's weighted himself out. These teams have, for the most part, teams have really filled their needs through the draft and free agency. So Clowney, yeah, if that's true, man, that he turned down that deal from Cleveland, especially like you said, playing alongside Myles Garrett, awful.
Yeah, and honestly, that's sad, man, because Clowney is an extreme talent, man. Like the first game last year, the Seahawks versus Bengals, man, he literally won them that game. Like the Bengals were in position to win, and he just comes and just tears apart the game. But I mean, for him to turn down that offer from Cleveland is honestly just really dumb, because they're building something there. And you're right, Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney on the opposite ends of the line. No one can block that. No one can.
Yeah.
Exactly, dude. I've been pounding the table for that, because you also got someone on the interior, the kid from Houston or from Missouri that we liked in the draft.
Jordan
Elliott.
Yeah, you got him on the inside now, dude. Like that defensive line would have been dirty, and then plus that secondary, it's mind-boggling to me. But moving on to my number 2, Cody, you kind of took the words out of my mouth earlier a little bit. Was that even Ben Roethlisberger at 75%, or is still better than Mason Rudolph or Duck Hodgins. Even if his arm talent isn't what it used to be, his mind is just going to be 10 times over what those guys are, and it's going to help Juju. It's going to help Chase Claypool. It's going to help Deontay Johnson. Stuff like that.
Oh yeah, 2-time champ.
Yeah, exactly. So. Again, and that I'm expecting that defense to carry that team. It's just if the offense can pick it up from what they were last year, they're easily a playoff team.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not worried about the defense at all. That's still a top tier defense in the league. It's just if the offense can pick it up, get it to where they need to be. If they can get it to a top 10 offense, they're Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
They have the defense for it. It's just I don't know if they can necessarily get it up to that point. We'll see this year.
Also agree.
That's my concern for them is really the offense.
Yeah, and I think you're right with Deontay Thompson and Chase Claypool added to the mix now. That really opens it up for Juju. Because I don't think he's like a true number one, but I think with help around him, he can definitely produce at a super high level. Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if I believe because elbow injuries are tricky, man.
For sure.
Like you're right, if he's 75% of the Ben that we knew, yeah, they're probably gonna win like 9 to 10 games, but elbow injuries are crazy. Like, I remember having just even tennis elbow, man. I couldn't do a pull-up for 10 months, really. So, who knows?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And this is also me projecting him being on the field and being able to play, So
Ben gets hurt a lot.
Right, exactly. So,
and to that, I will say, for a guy who's talked about retirement quite a bit, I feel like this was an injury. As long as Ben's being honest with himself, if this was an injury where he knew he's like, man, I'm going to come back. I'm not even going to be half of what I was. I may be half. I wouldn't be surprised if he shut it down. But I've seen a lot of these offseason reports, Jay Glazer, made the joke or whatever about Ben Roethlisberger, sort of working out. And then I guess Ben Roethlisberger got upset about that. And Glazer and Roethlisberger are tight. They're buddies. And Ben was like, yo, dude, don't push that narrative. I've been busting my ass for real this offseason. So I agree 100%. It's an elbow injury. Man, it's a coin flip. You don't know what he's going to be or even how long he's going to last. He could be the old Ben for maybe the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, and then that thing could give out.
And it gets cold. It gets cold, man.
That's a really good point right there, especially up there in the north, Pittsburgh, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to play playoff football, that's a very good point. So,
and everywhere in our divisions, it snows. So, and I think they're all outside stadiums too. So
they are, every single one of them. You're right. Yeah. So that's actually a really good point. But like Cody, I'll still side with the more hopeful, thing that Ben is going to be at least 8/10 of what he used to be.
Right. So let's move on. No introduction to who our number one is, but Rory, go ahead and talk about him from an AFC North fan perspective.
All right, so this is my second most hated team in the division, the Ravens. But I respect the hell out of them. They have a top tier organization, if you ask me. Like they're definitely up there with the Patriots and the Steelers and all of them, and the Cowboys too, honestly. And their pick of Lamar Jackson, I didn't understand it at the time, just because Joe was still Joe, but I didn't really know what to think of Lamar and how his game would transfer to the league, and it turns out he's a monster. Yeah. Just his legs alone, man. Like if you watch some of his highlights, the way he sets up guys is insane because he's just that twitchy and he knows his body that well. The Ravens probably improved the most out of all these teams, and they had no reason to. They just kept on stacking up talent and bringing in just top-notch players. Calais Campbell, I think, still has about 2 more years in the league producing. And to bring him in on free agency that was pretty killer. And I'm honestly terrified of my guards with Calais there. But they had a pretty good free agency period, but their draft was just incredible. Patrick Queen at the end of the first, I didn't see that him even being there. And to get J.K. Dobbins to add to that running game, boy. Like how are you gonna stop it? I don't know how anyone can reasonably all right, well, no, we're just gonna signal on the bar and then J.K. Dobbins is 30 yards down the field, just intense. The Ravens just showed there's absolutely no drop off with the losing of their old GM Ozzie Newsome. They just picked the ball up right where he left off and just kept on going. The Ravens are just in a league of their own, I think, of right now, with maybe Kansas City and possibly the 49ers. But, who knows? Football, things happen every day. But I think just for the time being that they're the team to beat.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So, Cody, just touch up on that for us.
I mean, definitely agree with everything you said. I want to piggyback off the very first point you made, that Baltimore is a great organization. I feel like more fans, if they want a more realistic understanding and grasping of how the league works, is that they need to look at teams like companies. Okay? It's no coincidence that the same few teams seem to be in contention every year. These are well-run companies, and it's also no coincidence that, and no offense to Cincinnati, with y'all's owner being notoriously cheap, the teams that haven't really been in contention. And there is a little middle ground there. But the well-run organizations, they find a way to stay competitive. And that's what Baltimore has been. I like how you brought up Ozzie Newsome. Now they're on to Eric DeCosta. And DeCosta was just named NFL Executive of the Year, which is nothing new for that organization. Since the Baltimore Ravens became a franchise, they moved from Cleveland. But since from their inception date, in terms of, I think, all pros, Pro Bowlers, and in terms of guys drafted as far as years played in the NFL, Baltimore's number one since they've been a team. Nobody else has come close to them, So that's just an organization. They know how to draft. They know how to scout. They know how to team build. And then it's also no coincidence that also, like Rory said, Lamar Jackson coming to the NFL, nobody knew what to expect. You got guys saying he should go to running back or wide receiver or whatnot. What did they do? They completely reinvented that offensive scheme, and it just, nobody can handle it. Nobody can handle it. I think there was a little bit of too much hype. We see that with one seeds who dominate from start to finish pretty frequently in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
They get that 1 week layoff, and then comes that first playoff game. And a lot of times you see these teams get, knocked in the mouth. I also think that's emblematic of a young team, and especially a young quarterback. I don't put too much stock in Lamar Jackson's early playoff struggles. I don't think this is some guy who just has some anti-clutch gene. But I will say that it's going to be interesting this year. Now that there is that year of film, our team's going to be able to adapt. I do think that Lamar needs to improve on throwing the football. But I don't have an issue with that, because that's what they said from his rookie year. From his rookie year to a second season, he improved tremendously throwing the football. Some kind of forecasting, even a more meager improvement would still be leaps and bounds, and would still keep them in, a very, very lethal, viable Super Bowl contender. So that's all I got.
Yeah, both of y'all just said what everybody else knows. They had a great draft. They had a great offseason. I love Patrick Queen. You can ask Cody. I was all over Patrick Queen all through the draft system. I was like, if the Ravens get him, it's going to be deadly. That's what they need as a linebacker. You get Patrick Queen, who's the best linebacker in the draft, in my opinion, and you're going to be set. And then you go and grab Yannick Ngakoue beforehand. Or not Yannick Ngakoue, Calais Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't they grab someone else in free agency?
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm blanking on who it might have been, but anyways, just kind of what you were saying, Cody, is Lamar Jackson. It really, to me, I can kind of see a decline this year just because he was the best quarterback in the NFL last year. You're gonna
with Mahomes.
Yeah, except the MVP, you're gonna expect a little bit of a decline. It's not anything against Lamar. It's just the way the NFL works typically.
Yeah.
So. Like you said, with his throwing, I need to see it get it a little bit better, progress for him, because last year, just watching off the eye test, I saw him overthrow guys. I saw his tight ends make spectacular catches to save his ass on throwing the ball. His rushing ability is great. You can't stop him with one guy. If you're going to stop him, it has to be a whole scheme fit that the coach can put together to stop Lamar Jackson, because you're not getting one guy. I don't care if it's Jadeveon Clowney running around out there. You're not stopping Lamar Jackson. You can't just tie him with one guy. So, like you said, dude, that team got better. We'll see what happens with Earl Thomas. I think they'll still keep him on the team. I know they were talking, maybe about having to release him. I don't see, I wouldn't expect
that's a huge issue. It sounds like a domestic thing, and he was the victim.
Yeah. So I expect him to still be on the team. Defense got better. Offense got better with J.K. Dobbins, So there's not much to say about the Ravens. They're still going to be Super Bowl contenders this year. And they're going to be it's just the way it is. I expect Lamar to be similar to last year. Just like you said, the playoff. I don't necessarily think he's a playoff choker.
Yeah.
Hudson had the same thing. His losing to the Colts at home, his second year in the league in the playoffs. I don't necessarily call him a choker with the.
Yeah.
the young quarterback blemishes, stuff like that. So we've all had the Ravens winning the division again this year. Before we cut this off, is there anything y'all want to add?
Yeah, just to add on to the Lamar throwing the ball, I think that the biggest thing he needs to work out is out routes past like 10 to 15 yards. And he just seems like he's always a little bit off on him for some reason. Like he's always a little bit higher, a little bit outside, or a little bit too inside. He's just not very accurate. So if he can work on that, like that'll be a dramatic improvement to his game. Because even in that the Titans game where they lost, like there are multiple balls. If it were just like that much closer to the receiver, like he's putting it in the 10 instead of them having to go for it on fourth down. But yeah, and also Justin Tucker can score from like 65 yards. So there's that too.
And they always have the best
trust in there.
They always have the best, our top 5 special teams unit, and that's why they're always good. If you play all 3 facets great, you're going to be great. So, but yeah, Rory, man, thank you for coming on again. One more time, Bengals fans, go check him out at Roar in the Jungle. I'll put his YouTube channel in the description below so y'all can check it out. But again, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, guys. I appreciate it. If you guys want to talk any more football, let me know. I'm always happy to talk.
Oh, for sure, dude. This was awesome. But we'll get this out sometime next week, and then we'll continue with I don't know, I think we're doing the NFC West next, but y'all stay tuned for that.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the talk with JW Football Talk. Yet again, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can go to their channel, like their videos if you're a Cowboys or Texans fan. They're really, really awesome dudes, and I really appreciate them having me on to talk. So if you could, help me out, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It all helps me grow. And by the way, it's freaking crazy that I'm over 100 subs already. And the last video did like 350 views so far. That's freaking crazy, and I really appreciate you. In the wise words of Chad Ochocinco, I love you. So, without further ado, it's a new day for the Who Day faithful. See ya.